Oh, hey there, it's Miss Cannon, and I'd like to welcome you to exploring two-dimensional art. If you're new here, I'd like to invite you to join us on this painting adventure. So I'll tell you what, let's get started. Today we're going to paint a middle schooler's favorite candy, a Jolly Rancher. Now I don't have any Jolly Ranchers to reference because my students ate them all, but I found this picture on the internet that I'm going to look at. Here are the supplies that you're going to need. I have here the primary colors, yellow, blue, and red, along with black and white. Now these are wonderful paints from Walmart. If you joined us last week, you learned about the color wheel, and we talked about how to mix the primary colors to get the secondary colors. So these are all the colors of paint that you're gonna need. Bright yellow, crimson, because I couldn't find true red, cobalt blue, black, and white. I also have a lovely little $2 Walmart canvas here. If you don't have a canvas, you can use cardboard, a little bit of thicker paper. This is butcher paper. A pizza box. I know some people be eating pizza. If your family had pizza for dinner last night, paint on the pizza box. I have a paper plate to use as my palette. I have a cup of water. Make sure you label paint water so you do not drink the paint water. I don't recommend. I have an assortment of random brushes and some happy little paper towels. All right, now let's get to it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to sketch out our Jolly Rancher. Okay, so I've got my reference. If you had your own Jolly Rancher, I'd put your little Jolly Rancher right there. I have a picture to reference over here on my computer, so I'm going to draw my Jolly Rancher. We're gonna get our paints out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get all my colors on there. I'm gonna get a little pile of black, a little pile of blue, pile of red, a pile of yellow, pile of white. Ooh, that's a lot of white. Looks like a happy little paint blob. So I'm gonna start with my background. Now on my picture, I have a teal background. I think I'm gonna stick with those colors. So I'm gonna mix a teal color. So first we need green. Blue and yellow make green. So we're gonna take a little bit of blue, put it in a pile, a little bit of yellow, put it in a pile, mix those together. Should give us a green. All right, so that green, well, it's a lovely little color. It's not the color we need. So I'm gonna take some yellow and I'm gonna mix it into there. Still not quite the color I want. Grab some white over here and just mix her in there to get her a little bit lighter than that. I don't enjoy this color. So what I'm gonna do, I've got a little bit of green handy. This might make more of the color I want. Sometimes you gotta get a little help from your friends. In this case, our friend was green. Let's get her a little bit lighter than that. Painting our background. So I'm just going in back and forth motions. Have fun with it. This is gonna be a happy little Jolly Rancher. Jolly little Jolly Rancher. It's okay, since we're mixing our colors, if when you run out of paint and you have to mix the color again and it's might be a slightly different color than what you began with, that's okay. It makes it look interesting. Listen to the paintbrush painting on that canvas. Listen to that. Music to my ears. But that's not music to my ears. Don't interrupt me, phone. I think I want this to be brighter, so I'm just gonna take some white and I'm just gonna go back in here and mix in. When my paint's still wet, I can lighten it up. Experiment. That's my favorite thing about art. Experimenting. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen unless you do it. Disclaimer, don't do anything dangerous. I'm talking about art. If you're painting with a stretched canvas, don't forget the edges of your canvas. Nobody likes a blank canvas edge. So my canvas edge is a little bit of a different color from my background, but it's okay, it's a happy accident. Maybe that canvas edge just had a dream of being blue. We've got a nice background, if I do say so myself. So let's learn a little bit about value and shading. And I'm going to make a darker version of our background. Take some of this green that I didn't like. Okay. So I made a little bit darker version. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up underneath and I'm going to make a shadow. Then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to kind of blend it into this, to our background because it's still wet. Actually comes in a little bit. And then we're going to get a little bit of a shadow from our wrapper down here. Now, I'm going to take my paint water, I'll take my paintbrush and I'm swirling it around. Swipe, swipe. And then I'm just going to wipe it with my paper towel. Our Jolly Rancher is a nice shade of pink. So to make pink, we're going to need a little bit of red. We're just going to slap that on our paper and a little bit of white. Just going to slap that down. And we're just going to go ahead and mix this from here. It's not quite the right color that I want of pink, so I think I might add a tiny bit of blue into this to make it a little bit more on the purple side. Needs to be a cooler pink. When I say cooler pink, it needs to be more of a pink cool undertone, not a warm undertone. Alright, I think that, let's get a tiny bit more blue in there. Alright, that I think got us to the more of the color we may be looking for. Okay, so I'm going to take my paintbrush. Now I do realize this isn't quite the right colors that we need, but when in quarantine and Walmart is your only source for art supplies, or your house is your only source for art supplies, you kind of got to do what you got to do, right? Is we're gonna come in here and we've got some darker parts. So I'm gonna add a little bit more blue and a little bit more red to my pink paint down here. and I'm going to turn it into a little bit more of a darker pink. So we got a little bit of a darker pink, so I'm gonna look at my picture and I'm gonna find my darker areas. So it looks like we're dark right here on the top. And now I'm going to start on the yellow part of our wrapper. So I'm just going to go in with a regular yellow color. Make sure that your paintbrush is free of any other color, because yellow is very easy to overpower. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to paint my whole side wrapper yellow. I'm not going to come too much into this because this is going to be white. Feeling pretty good about this. Okay, now let's come in here with the darker parts of our yellow. So I'm going to get a dot of black, that much. And I'm going to mix it, into my yellow. And it's going to make this darker yellowish color. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to get right in here where all my shadows are. And I think I need it to be a little bit darker. So you can always add black, but you can't take away black. So be very careful when you're using black paint. And if you're not liking this, it doesn't have to be the way I'm doing it. You can make it however your little heart desires. A big blob right now. Sometimes you might just have to take a step back and look at it. Things look better from a distance sometimes. Okay, so we're back and we're ready to put in some highlights. So we're gonna need our white paint, and I'm gonna use a little bit of a smaller brush this time. All right, so we're gonna find our highlights, and we're gonna come in here with white, and we're just gonna put our highlights in there. So another thing I'm going to do while we're here is I'm going to go ahead and just outline this whole Jolly Rancher with white so we can tell that there's a wrapper on it. I'm going to get some white in here because your wrapper starts to kind of get all crumpled up in the same spot. So we're going to put some nice highlights, and then some of this, I want my brush to be a little dry with white, and I'm just gonna make it so that it's got some highlights so it looks like the paper's crinkling. I like to just take my finger and just pull it back a little bit. So now we need a couple little highlights on our yellow spots. Okay, so I think we're done with this part. If you would like to add the Jolly Rancher logo, I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna use some paint pens to add the logo in. Well, here's our finished product. Pretty happy with it. It looks like a Jolly Rancher. We learned some nice shadows and highlights. Yeah. If you have paint available to you and you can do this project, paint with us. If you don't have paint, draw with us in our other video. All right, guys, I had so much fun making this Bob Ross inspired video. I hope you liked it. I hope you had fun with me. See you next week, guys. Bye. So here's the final one after I drew the Jolly Rancher logo on it. I used paint pens. So if you wanted to see what it looked like at the very end after I was done with everything, here it is.